This is a WMUR Commitment Special, Conversation with the Community. And now, United States Senator Maggie Hassan.
Hello and welcome to our Conversation with the Community series. I'm Adam Sexton. Our guest is Senator Maggie Hassan. We'll be hearing today about where she stands on key issues. At the start of our show, I'll be asking the candidates some questions, and then after a break, we'll have our studio audience ask their questions in a town hall format. But before we begin with that, let's take a quick look at what the senator has been working on in D.C. Senator Hassan is in her second term. In recent months, the Democrat focused on health care. She stood with her party in trying to renew Affordable Care Act subsidies and then broke ranks to vote for a deal to end the government shutdown despite the loss of those subsidies. She's also working on veterans issues, sponsoring a bill that is now law to increase pensions for Medal of Honor recipients, and her proposal to increase job support for Gold Star spouses passed the Senate earlier this month. The senator has also been working on ways to modernize government systems to make things run more efficiently. And Senator, thanks for coming in for this conversation with the community.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with that big moment from late last year, the government shutdown, your vote to end that shutdown, to create some negotiating space around the healthcare issue. We still don't see a deal on that, and the goalposts seem to keep moving a bit. In hindsight now, was it a mistake to give up the leverage of the shutdown?
Well, first of all, the Republican Party and the president's refusal to extend these tax cuts that help people who buy their insurance on healthcare.gov afford health insurance at a time when costs are skyrocketing for everybody is really unacceptable. And at the end of September, what the White House and the Republicans in Washington said to Democrats in the minority was, here's a take it or leave it proposal. Accept this continuing budget resolution that didn't address the healthcare calamity that we were looking at, take it or leave it. And I said that's not an acceptable solution, voted multiple times to reopen the government and extend those tax cuts. The Republicans refused to join us in that, and it became very clear that they weren't going to talk to us about healthcare until the government reopened. More importantly, was that real people were getting hurt by the government shutdown. We have a president who was willing to withhold critical food assistance, even though there were reserve dollars that he could have used to provide it. So he was pitting sick children against hungry children during this shutdown. Meanwhile, we also knew the strain that the shutdown poses to our air traffic control system. And we know, for instance, people were going to need heating assistance as the winter was coming upon us. So I made the decision to begin talking and negotiating with Republicans, never accepted the deal that they pushed on us in September, but what we were able to negotiate was a reopening of government with full funding for food assistance for the full year, so the president couldn't do that again, full funding for the VA for the year, some protections for federal employees who had been laid off, and the opportunity to have an actual vote on the Senate floor on these extended health care premiums. The senators in the Republican Party rejected that option. That's unacceptable, but now we've seen the House, in a bipartisan move, pass a 3-year extension. Negotiations continue. If the Republicans don't extend these tax credits, what we'll see, of course, is fewer people insured and the cost for even those people who are insured going up. It will continue to undermine our healthcare system, and we will have to hold them accountable in the 2026 election. But I continue to push for them to come to the table and fix this right now.
We're all talking about an issue that we didn't talk about at all in the 2024 election, and that's the country of Greenland. This is something the president is very interested in at the moment. He was just overseas talking about this quite a bit. He still wants to acquire it, although he's saying now this is not going to be a military thing. Some allies are sounding like they're kind of reaching a breaking point and saying, we don't know if we can partner with the United States moving forward anymore. And one was saying in particular, I don't see a lot of the American people standing up against this. I don't see a lot of elected officials standing up against this. So why should we stick around and stick with the Americans? Does that make you reevaluate the way you handle minority opposition?
Look, Donald Trump's foreign policy is making us less safe, less secure, and really, as we're seeing right now this week with the Greenland discussion, hurting our international standing. We have a president who picks fights with his allies and then cozies up to and emboldens our adversaries. Instead of talking about Ukraine this week in Davos, which should have been the focus of these discussions with other Western democracies who support the freedom-loving people of Ukraine, we saw division within the Western democracies, division between our allies and the United States, all because of Donald Trump's actions. We also see concerns, of course, about the possibility that the Trump administration is pulling us into an endless war in Venezuela. The president's foreign policy is making us less safe. You are seeing people speak up about it in Washington and around the country. At the end of the day, though, this is a president who, instead of addressing the high costs that Americans are facing, instead of making us safer at home and boosting our standing internationally, is really hurting us, dividing us, and making us less safe.
All right, Senator, that's enough for me. Let's get right to that town hall and our New Hampshire voters. Coming up after the break, we'll bring our studio audience into this conversation. Stay with us.